Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Ruben, and new week, new video. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and in an interesting case, we're going to talk some NBA. Don't usually talk NBA around this time, but a big bomb dropped. Damian Lillard was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks and not the Miami Heat, and I'm thrilled about it. And the reason I'm thrilled about it is because I'm usually pro player, particularly when it comes. You know what? I am pro player when it comes to them getting their money. I absolutely think they deserve their money, and I'm pro player that when it's a good guy that's done the right things. I like to see them get done right. Okay. With that being said, I'm not a fan of players that sign a contract, demand trades, and then try to dictate where the trade is going to go. That's not something I'm a fan of because I think there's two kinds of people. I view myself as eventually I want to be a boss, right? So when it comes to negotiation, I view things through the eyes of the owner, okay? And pride and ownership is a thing. So with that being said, I don't want to, especially if it's somebody I paid, we set up a deal, and obviously for whatever reason, we got to part ways. And I want you, you're going to do what's best for you, but then you're going to try to dictate what I'm going to do with my business. I have issues with that, right? And so where does that tie into this subject? So, for instance, me and my friend, Shane, we talk all the time. Shane's a Miami Heat fan. When this whole thing jumped off, I told him, because he was very certain that he was going to be a Miami Heat player. When we were discussing it, things get heated. We always get heated in discussions. It's fine. But where we kind of parted ways on, where we were both in agreement that I think he was going to be a Miami Heat player. This was a couple months ago, whenever this whole thing jumped off. But I told him, I think ultimately he's going to end up in the Miami Heat. But it's only because I think the Miami Heat are the only game in town. People know that Portland wants to do right by Dame, and they kind of know his preferred. Some of his preferred destinations were to include Miami, and that was something he really wanted to do. But I think he messed up, and I think the Miami Heat messed up, and I think arrogance played a huge part of it. And here's why. In the discussion between me and my friend that got heated, I try to explain to him leverage and how Damian Lillard didn't have it. Okay. I don't know if he just doesn't know what leverage means, but Damian Lillard doesn't have it, right? In this discussion, he tells me Damian Lillard said he'll only play for the Miami Heat. So any team would be stupid to trade for Damian Lillard because he has all the leverage. He could refuse to play. And I said, bruh, what have you seen from Damian Lillard that suggests he would not play for the team? And he's a 33-year-old point guard in the middle of a huge deal that he just signed. It doesn't behoove him to dog it, right? Not to mention, nothing we've seen from Damian Lillard suggests that he's built that way, right? So we go back and forth, and I'm explaining to him, I was like, he doesn't have leverage. If he ends up in Miami, it's not because he leveraged his way to Miami. Now, where I think they messed up is, I think the Miami Heat and Damian Lillard's agent worked together and colluded, right, on how they can try to force their way to Miami, okay? The problem with that is I think Portland ultimately, and I do think emotions were involved, but there's always some level of emotion when you're negotiating, even in business. Don't let anybody tell you it's all business. If somebody comes in and tries to tell you what to do, you're going to rebuff that, right? Especially, it's no different in business. So when Damian Lillard tried to strong arm Portland, who already had hopes, like they have already given Damian Lillard essentially $400 million and counting. And they've made Damian Lillard a very rich man. They treated him very well. And they want to treat him very well. But when Damian Lillard decides to strong arm, which is out of his normal character, tried to strong arm and dictate what was going to happen. The problem with that is, it's not only did you insult the organization, so to speak, right? That's you offended the organization that wants to do right by you, right? And then the place you want to go, their assets suck. Like the Miami Heat have an issue with arrogance in a way that they can't even see how to value their own assets, right? So right now, the Miami Heat, as of right now, can only trade 2 first-round picks, right? And part of that is because they have the main reason they can only trade 2 first-round picks is because they have one sitting that is owned by the OKC Thunder, and it's protected. So when you have the combination of the Stepien rule and the protections, they can only trade 2 picks within the next 7 seasons, right? Now, they can do some gymnastics to free up the pick from OKC, but it will require them giving them the pick, and then you got to decide what year the pick would be. Would they take that pick? And I would imagine in any situation like that, OKC would say, well, okay, cool, we get the pick, but what else is in it for me or whatever? I would leverage that pick for more picks myself. But that's a whole nother argument. The point is, the picks that they could offer outside of 2024 are basically 27, 29, like in that range, okay? Now, Ruben, they got the 2029 pick and pick swaps in 28 and 30 in the Milwaukee Bucks deal. I understand that. But they got a star in Drew Holiday. I honestly think, and there's been various reports, right? Various reports that suggest it was Tyler Hero, a couple of first-round picks, right? Then there was possibly, Jaime Jaquez, Jovic, that could have gone elsewhere. But it was already made clear they didn't want Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero does not fit with what they're trying to do. And there's not a consensus on what Tyler Hero's value is. I don't know if you guys noticed, but they've been trying to trade the guy for like 2-3 years. Every superstar that has come up, they've been involved in trade talks, right? They've been involved in the trade rumors, and every time Tyler Hero is the centerpiece of it. They actually thought when they drafted Tyler Hero that Tyler Hero was going to be the next Devin Booker. I repeatedly told my boy that that's not the case. That Tyler Hero has done nothing that suggests that he's more than basically a 6-man microwave scorer type, right? Now, but nobody views him as a star is the problem. And Miami tries to sell him like he's a star. At most, you're probably going to get, and it depends on the team, right? So if you got a team that's just devoid of talent, maybe they give up 2 first-round picks for Tyler Hero, but I would venture to say that you get 1, right? So if it's Tyler Hero 2 picks, well, they got a pick and pick swaps. Granted, it's later. That's not the problem. The problem is Drew Holiday. The Miami Heat actually think Tyler Hero is tantamount to Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is going to be auctioned to the highest bidder. He's going to get 3. If there's no players involved, he can get anywhere between 3 to 4 picks, depending on the team, of course. Now, if there's players involved, I'm pretty positive that they're going to get a player, 2 more picks, and not only are they going to get the 2 picks, they might get swaps, and they're going to be sooner than 2028. And that's just something that I think some of the Miami Heat fans are having trouble reconciling the value of the picks that they can offer, because you're offering picks 5, 6, 7 years down the line, and then you're offering guys that nobody's seen play and a 6-man. And you wanted a superstar. It's kind of hilarious if you ask me. You wanted a superstar. For some reason, you think because Damian Lillard asked for a trade that you have Portland over a barrel. And that's where the argument and the arrogance comes in at. I think they're going to get a haul for Drew Holiday. They're going to get a quality player. I think they're going to get, depending on the quality of the player, they're going to get multiple picks. I think there's going to be a nasty bidding for him. As a Knick fan, we could get involved. There's definitely a Tibbs player. We got picks. My only thing as a Knick fan is I love Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday's a star. He's a champion. My only thing with me personally as a Knick fan not wanting Drew Holiday, I don't want Drew Holiday unless it's Joel Embiid time. Now, if you could convince me that, you know what, we can get Drew and Joel, I'm selling all our picks and as many players as I can to make that happen. But as a standalone trade, like as much as I love Drew Holiday, like I'm not sure he moves the needle for us. But if he ends up in Boston, like he definitely moves the needle for Boston. I would give Boston, I would make Boston the favorite over Milwaukee if they somehow pull that deal off. If he ends up with either LA team, like he really moves the needle for teams like that. If he ends up with Dallas, like, I mean, he doesn't move the needle as much as like LA and, you know, for these other teams, but that's only because I don't think Dallas has the talent around Luka and him to really kind of make that kind of noise. But the point is, he really moves the needle for Chicago. The point is, this is a championship star player, elite defender, okay? Even if they decide not to trade him, even if they decide not to trade him, I think he's a good guy that you could keep around. Now, some people will say, well, Damian Lillard wanted to come back. It didn't make any sense. You have a tiny superstar scorer, but you're trying to ingratiate another guy that's supposed to be a phenom at point guard. And they already have Anthony Simons, and then you already have Shaedon Sharpe, and then who else they got? Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, and then again the young phenom and Scoot Henderson. Damian Lillard, I just don't see where he fits, and then you're entirely too small. Where Drew Holiday works, I mean, at least in the short term, is I think he fits. Like he can play, he can guard multiple positions. He's 6'5", and he doesn't need the ball like that. So it allows your youth to kind of do what they do while you have veteran leadership. And then lastly, what I know I talked about value a lot, right? And I'm going to try to explain it this way, and hopefully it gets through to some of Miami Heat fans. The Portland Trailblazers aren't your typical rebuilding team, right? So Utah, they completely blew it up. They didn't have anything, so they just brought in whatever, as much talent as they can in picks, right? Portland has kind of been rebuilding on the fly for a couple years. Portland has some nice pieces. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they snuck in the play-in, right? They have Jeremy Grant on the roster. DeAndre Ayton's a 7-footer that's 18-10 that I think still has untapped potential. Scoot Henderson, if he looks anything like how he's projected to look, I mean, that's a problem. Anthony Simons is a certified bucket. Shaedon Sharpe is in year 2. They got wing defenders and, wing rotation defenders in Matisse Thybulle. This is a solid roster that could still get better after the Drew Holiday signing. This isn't the kind of, we're starting over that you typically see. So when they say, well, they could have took Jovic, Jaime Jaquez, picks, or whatever, the reason that those are valued by teams that are just kind of blowing it up is they just want as many assets. The sound of as many assets is better than the quality of the asset. Drew Holiday was better than anything that the Miami Heat could have offered. And they still got the pick, and they still got the pick swaps. Now, if they flip Drew Holiday, they're going to get better picks and pick swaps than they would have gotten from Miami. And I think that's something you guys got to wrap your mind around. But that's all I got for now, guys. Let me know what you think. Peace out. Have a great weekend.